Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia, and today, as you can see, we are in my reading journal. And yet again, I've been really bad about actually making spreads and like filling out all the books that I've read. So I'm here trying to play catch up again. This is all the books that I read in May, and we are now halfway through June. So yes, I am pretty bad about keeping up with it. I think it might be easier for me to just continue doing it in like batches of like a month at a time. So you can probably look forward to seeing some more filling in like a month at a time videos on my channel, since apparently I do not keep up with it regularly. So if you like this kind of video, then maybe that works out better for you. But as you saw at the beginning, I first made a little spread for the 2 books on Hygge that I listened to last month, and now I'm moving on to Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, which is the trilogy including Dragonbone Chair and The Stone of Farewell. One problem I would say with doing kind of like the batches later on is that I've already set up the June like monthly pages. So I only have a certain number of pages that I can use, because on the other side of this page is my June monthly spread. So I only get a certain amount of space to fill in, and it's not necessarily enough if I'm kind of guessing in advance. But I think it worked out okay here, especially with like the 2 books on Hygge. They're kind of like really similar and they're by the same author, so it makes sense for them to share a page. And then also for Dragonbone Chair and Stone of Farewell, they're part of the same series, so I think they're pretty happy to live together on the same page. And because I read them like pretty close together, I have a lot of like, I guess like critiques or just like thoughts on like the both of them like in general together. So I feel like I can pretty easily sum my thoughts up for the pair of them in a single spread. And all the spreads in this set, I guess you would want to call it, I guess this month, are pretty simple. I like some of the more intense, like involved kind of like, what's the word? Collage style spreads that you see some people do in their journals, but I want to have a lot of space to be able to write out my thoughts. So unless I was to use like the whole spread of like both pages for each book, and I wouldn't have a lot of space for writing my thoughts if I did a lot of decoration. And I don't think I want to use that much space for each book, because my notebook has square pages. They're quite a bit larger than if I was just like in like an A5 journal. And then it would probably make more sense to use like a whole spread for each book, because you lose a lot of space, and then if you add any decoration, you lose even more space. But yeah, because my pages are quite large, I think I want to stick with like 1 page per book, or in this case, set of books. One exception to this is I did do a full page spread for the Live Ship Traders trilogy, but I put all 3 of the books on the same spread, so kind of balanced out in that terms. But yeah, so for Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, as you can see, it's really just quite simple. I used my letter stamps to put the series name. As you can probably see, I accidentally picked up the Q instead of the O, and I wasn't paying attention, so I stamped in a Q in Thorn there instead of an O. But I tried to kind of cover it up a little bit later with a white gel pen, and as you might have seen also in like the first page, I was trying to use the white gel pen to write the titles on the blue marker, and I just don't have any luck with white gel pens. I ended up actually using white paint and like just like the end of a pen for the second title, because the white gel pens were just not working very well. I never find that like the ink flows very well, or that they like stand out. Like I have to go over so many times just trying to get some actual like pigment going on. But yeah, I kind of tried to cover up the stem of the Q there a little bit, and it kind of worked. It's at least slightly less noticeable now. But on the other side here, we are doing a spread for the Stone of Farewell. And actually sorry, not the Stone of Farewell, the Stone Sky. Too many stone books. And I actually probably didn't necessarily need to have a whole page for this book, just because it's quite a lot of space to write. And I mean, I did manage to fill it, so I guess it worked out in the end. But I just was originally planning to do it as a half spread. As you can see, I kind of messed up the border there. I don't think I actually went back to fix that at all. It just kind of is going to be the way it is. I chose a blue pen here, but I actually kind of wish I just went with black because the blue of this pen does not match with the blue of the marker that I used for the title and the border, so I'm not the biggest fan of how that turned out, but it's okay. You live and you learn. So that is just kind of the way it is. And all these books, by the way, if you're interested in hearing my more in-depth thoughts about them, you can check out my May reading wrap-up. I talk about all of these books in a decent amount of detail, not super in-depth, and I think I don't have any spoilers in that video, so if you're interested in reading any of these books, you should be okay. I'm sure I mention it if I do go into any spoilers, but yeah. I don't have a ton really to say about this spread because it's really just like writing out my review, and for the most part I usually make a review kind of like in bullet points before I do my like monthly wrap-up videos. So I just write the reviews in my reading journal based off of the points that I put for that, and I just kind of expand on those and include any additional thoughts that have occurred to me since the original reading of the book and writing of the review. And you might notice that the lines of like my borders are extremely wobbly, and that is mostly because if you've seen my June reading journal setup, then you know that I used a lot of like botanical like pressed flower and stuff that I like glued into the book. So I'm doing this after I did that, and it's underneath this page as you just saw there. So there's a lot of like bumps underneath the page. So the lines just kind of become wobbly, and that's just kind of gonna be the way that it is. And now I am actually into my June spread, and I'm just going to fill out my pages read tracker for as far as we've gotten so far in the month. And I'm definitely kind of thinking that I'm gonna run out of lines in this one. I should not have used so much space for decoration because I've been reading a lot this month, and yeah, as you can see, like we're already over halfway through the lines, and I am less than halfway through the month at this point. Well, about halfway through. So yeah, that does not add up, unfortunately, but oh well. We will have to figure out some way around that. I guess I could use the second page for a continuation of pages read, but I think there would only be a couple lines on that, so it might look a little bit silly. But yeah, that is pretty much all that I have for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.